This week in game news, Activision announced their acquisition of King Digital Entertainment for $5.9 billion. World of Warcraft fell to 5.5 million subscribers, and Activision Blizzard will no longer report on subscriber numbers for the game. Transistor has been released for the Apple TV and comes with a sweet new song entitled She Shines.
All of the dark falls away.
Democracy-free, Africa has been announced by Positech Games. Early access MMORPG Otherland was busted for having fake reviews on Steam, so much for Epic's Drago Entertainment. Steam, meanwhile, saw over 12.5 million concurrent users on October 31st, 2015, a new record, and Blizzard's hotly anticipated action game Overwatch has been confirmed for a PlayStation 4 and Xbox One release on or before June 21st, 2015. Also, a super cool fan film called Metroid: The Sky Calls was released this week by Rainfall Films. We have a link to the full thing at blackmanandrobin.com. This is the Blackman and Robin Game News Update. Is this Activision Blizzard Week? Well, in a manner of speaking, yes. BlizzCon's happening this weekend. You can expect most of the exciting news from that event in next week's episode. This week, however, there was still a ton of big Activision Blizzard news, starting with the announcement that Activision Blizzard would be acquiring King Digital Entertainment for $5.9 billion. That is a lot of money. Not 5.9 million, mind you, but billion. For perspective, the Walt Disney Company purchased Lucasfilm and LucasArts for a bit over $4 billion. Lucasfilm came with the rights to Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and Loom. King Digital Entertainment comes with Candy Crush. So why would Activision purchase a company that makes exploitative free-to-play match-free games? For starters, they're incredibly profitable. Though they're making a bit less in 2015 than they were last year, Candy Crush still makes a lot of money. Additionally, Activision may be moving towards monetization models that more closely resemble those of King's. Expect to see more microtransactions in games you purchased for $60. You might also see Activision pushing harder to release mobile games. They've not had Candy Crush levels of success yet on mobile, but that might be about to change. The acquisition still has to be approved in court in Ireland, where King is based. This is expected to happen in 2016. We have more information about this acquisition and what it could mean for you at blackmanandrobin.com. Now for BlizzCon news, one big piece of news that hit us is the brand new trailer for the upcoming Warcraft movie. Starring Travis Fimmel, Ben Foster, Paula Patton, and others, the movie is based on the video game franchise of the same name. Written and directed by Duncan Jones, who you may know for his work on Moon and Source Code, there's a lot of hype around the cast and director. Hopefully it's good when it comes out on June 10th, 2016.
For years, our world has been at peace. But something is coming. I can feel it. Dark forces are upon us.
Find these beasts, or whatever they are.
Our world is dying. There is nothing to go back to. If our people are to survive, we must make a home here. Whatever happens.
Whatever happens. If we do not unite, our world will perish.
This doesn't need to happen. There is one who may help us.
For orcs, there is no other life but war. No, but with the humans' help, there could be.
Why are you here?
To save our people.
Can we trust him?
They're beasts. They should all be destroyed.
Are you sure about that? We'll protect the kingdom. You and I.
You'd side with the humans against your own kind.
This is suicide.
We have no choice. We should attack with full force.
Whatever you plan to do it now!
But wait, there's more. The World of Warcraft Legion expansion is coming out summer of 2016 and includes the Broken Isles, a new continent, new weapons, etc. There's a new cinematic trailer for that as well. You can catch the full thing at blackmanandrobin.com. Of course, there's yet more news from Blizzcon, this time regarding Heroes of the Storm. You've likely heard of this one. It's Blizzard's own MOBA that's incredibly streamlined and more objective-based than Dota 2 and League of Legends. The first Heroes of the Storm announcement was for a new mode called the Arena. I let the trailer explain it.
At BlizzCon 2015, we are giving a first look at an exciting new mode currently in development for Heroes of the Storm called the Arena. When considering a new mode for the game, we thought it would be cool to create a play experience that you could never really prepare for. Something that was quick and easy to jump into, but would require even more flexibility and adaptation out of players. Imagine being presented a random hero, then pushed into a 5-minute non-stop team fight built around a single map objective, make that a best-of-3 rounds experience, and toss an extra dash of loco on top? Welcome to the Arena. When you enter the Arena, your team will be given 45 seconds to choose heroes out of the 3 random options presented to each player on your team. In the Arena, you're not limited to the heroes in your current roster, but have access to every hero in the game. It's probably worth a moment to consider how your team could best choose heroes that will augment each other, and at about that time, your first round will begin.
That's not all, however. New heroes were announced for the game. Greymane, Lunara, and Jogal will be coming out soon. Additionally, a new map called the Towers of Doom is also in development for Heroes of the Storm. If you've been looking to get into a MOBA, but you are put off by the complexity of Dota, you might want to give Heroes of the Storm a shot. It's a simpler game that's easier to hop into and out of. Matches are shorter than those you'll find in Dota, and the learning curve is not too steep. If card games are more your thing, a new Hearthstone adventure has been announced. It's called the League of Explorers and has an awesome brief trailer.
We've traversed the tombs of Naxxramas. We've climbed every cliff on Black Rock. Now the world cries out for heroes. As a new evil rises, there will be danger. There will be doom. There will be ancient temples filled with relics, treasures, and traps. Who will answer the call? Explorers lead, and we are in need of explorers. Adventure we seek, cross land and sea. Want to come and join us? Yes!
Explorers lead! Sorry, this is neither the time nor the place to announce my singing career. It is, however, a good time to talk about some of the new cards that were announced for the game, such as the Explorer's Hat, which you can use to buff minions for 1 attack and 1 health, and the Golden Monkey, which replaces your hand and deck with legendary minions as soon as you play it. League of Explorers is out on November 12th, 2015.
Who will answer the call?
Not to leave RTS fans in the dust, a trailer dropped for StarCraft 2 Nova Covert Ops. And no, it's not StarCraft Ghost. It's DLC for StarCraft 2 starring Nova Terra, and it comes with a few new missions.
Where am I?
Stand and lower your visor for software calibration. Decloak, Agent. Rogue Agent!
A launch trailer was released for StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void. It comes out on November 10th, 2015, and is the third expansion to StarCraft 2. Mind you, it's a standalone, so you won't need to own the previous games in the series in order to play it. That said, it's also a sort of grand finale story-wise. You may want to get caught up on everything that's happened in the StarCraft 2 series up until this point. There'll be other news out of BlizzCon that'll be released after this episode is finished. We'll report on it next week. For now, keep an eye on blackmanandrobin.com for all the latest. In game releases this week, a new Need for Speed game came out. Simply titled Need for Speed, the game was released on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. It's a reboot of the series, and it features live-action cutscenes, which, from what I've heard from critics, are a little silly, but better than those in Guitar Hero Live. The game is on track to be released on PC spring of 2016, and while the game itself is pretty good, it's not without its issues, specifically regarding DRM. The game has an always online requirement, meaning that it will not be playable when Electronic Arts decides that it's not worth keeping the servers up anymore, and you can't play it if you lose your connection. Frankly, I don't recommend purchasing it for this reason alone. It's not a game that you can continue to play into the future. While there are new legal protections for bypassing this sort of DRM, as we reported on last week, frankly, I don't really want to have to hassle with that sort of thing if I purchase the game now, and then years down the road want to show it to my kids. I'm not going to tell you not to buy the game, but I hope you understand why I've decided to stay away from it.
A 100 years ago, humanity set forth to populate the moon.
Released on Windows this week was Anno 2205, developed by Ubisoft. This is an economically focused strategy game in which you establish colonies, make money, and develop industry. This game is set in the year 2205, as you may have guessed, and humanity has shot for the moon, quite literally. It's a sci-fi take on the tried and true formula of the Anno series, and it has gotten pretty good critical reception thus far. Also worth mentioning is that the DRM in this game is significantly less intrusive than in previous entries in the series. While the game does still require Uplay, that is Ubisoft's DRM scheme, it isn't always online, which is a good thing.
To reach the stars. We see the promise in your knowledge and technologies. Extend your reach to new frontiers. Find new resources. Many obstacles may block your way. We believe you will prosper. Let the next race to space begin. Shape the future of our kind. You can lead the way for us all.
Does 2205 sound a little too far-fetched for you? Would you rather go back to 1996? Does the Cold War interest you? Do you have stealthy leanings? Do you feel interrogated right now? If you answered yes to any of these three questions, the spy thriller Clandestine may be up your alley. Released on Steam for Windows this week, it's a co-op game in which one player is a spy out in the field, meanwhile another player is a hacker. The hacker player can control security cameras and, generally speaking, have an effect on the mission from afar. The player who's the spy, meanwhile, is out there on the ground, dodging guards and occasionally having to grapple with them. Do you enjoy old-fashioned dogfighting? Air Brawl came out of early access this week and it's been getting good reception thus far. In case you're unfamiliar with it, Air Brawl is a multiplayer dogfighting game. Dogfighting, mind you, with antique airplanes, not dogs. If you're looking for historical accuracy, well, you might want to look elsewhere. If you're looking for a multiplayer dogfighter that's more like Rocket League, you'll have plenty of fun with Air Brawl, which is out now for Windows, Mac, and Linux. I played the game back when it was in alpha and can definitely vouch for it. It was fun and fast-paced then, and one of these days I'll have to try out this fancy finished version of the game. If you'd rather play something strange and free, Electric Highways was released on Windows last week. It's a first-person adventure game that employs an aesthetic inspired by abstract art and early 3D games. Set in 2072, virtual reality has become commonplace, and if the story of the game is that you are playing as the developer of a VR world, you're about to release this world, but before you do so, you step into it one last time. Would you intentionally buy a game that's full of bugs? No, we're not talking about Batman Arkham Knight. Plenty of people are purchasing a very buggy game since the release of Mushihime-sama on Steam. Originally an arcade game, this shmup is now available on Windows. It's gotten great reception thus far. Something about the game that caught my eye is its Art Nouveau-inspired aesthetic, and the fact that you're fighting giant insects, which are in themselves cool. Mushihime-sama is now available on Steam. Stylish strategy game Mini Metro was released on Windows, Mac, and Linux this week. It's been on Steam in early access for a while, and it's finally seeing a full release. In the game, you must design rail lines and train stations for a growing city. The game has been described as both hectic and relaxed. It seems contradictory, but it's a blend that apparently works well, seeing as the players on Steam have given Mini Metro such an overwhelmingly positive response. I've not tried it, but I certainly intend to. The slick aesthetic certainly draws me in, and I like the idea of a hectic but chill game. The Humble Monthly Bundle has launched this week, and, pleasant surprise, it comes with 7 neat games including Valkyria Chronicles and Besiege. Frankly, I have my reservations about the monthly, but if you have a small PC game library, it may be worth $12 a month. If you're wondering what issues I could possibly have with the Humble Monthly Bundle, just type Humble Monthly into blackmanandrobin.com. In virtual reality news, Sony has revealed some of the specs for the PlayStation VR in a brief video. We now know that the final version of the device will have a 5.7-inch OLED display, a 120Hz refresh rate, 3D audio, and more. One interesting feature is that people around you can watch the game you're playing on a television while you're using the PlayStation VR. This could open up some very interesting asymmetric multiplayer experiences. The device is set to be released sometime during the first half of 2016. We don't have a release date down in stone for this PlayStation 4 peripheral quite yet, but we do have a great list of the upcoming PlayStation VR games courtesy of Redditor Zilly Vanilli. There's a link to that at our site. In crowdfunding news, Failsafe hit Kickstarter and it looks quite promising. It's a first-person parkour game inspired by Journey, Shadow of the Colossus, and the works of Hayao Miyazaki. The game is set on a barren planet and follows a girl named Isra. Isra has a lot on her shoulders. It's her duty to lead the people of her village, but it's not a fate she wants to accept. She'd rather explore the world, bleak as it is, and see for herself the places in the stories her uncle told her. Oh, and there's a cute robot named XJ. It reminds me a lot of the 2008 Prince of Persia. You're leaping around a wrecked world having an adventure after all. Failsafe is in development for Mac, Windows, and Linux, and is set to be released summer of 2016.
Into the air, dance through the clouds, reach for tomorrow. The seed of your season may not return. The sun sets on your stillness. Children of the endless sun, keepers of our final grace, always carry us with you.
Another Kickstarter that caught our attention this week was for a game called Splat It for iOS and Android. Your goal is to create paintings, very quickly, by dragging and splatting little paint creatures to the right places. The game looks cute, and the trailer is one of the silliest I've seen for a crowdfunding project. It's nice to see developers with humor.
Back this Kickstarter, and in return I'll send you a free copy of the game once it's published. Thank you, and sorry for my accent.
If you own Age of Empires 2 HD, you may be surprised to hear that the game has just received an expansion. Developed by Forgotten Empires, the African Kingdoms expansion brings 4 new civilizations, each with their own campaigns, units, and buildings. You can play as the Berbers, Malians, Ethiopians, or the Portuguese. who, as you know, are actually from Europe, but had a lot to do with the history of Africa as they set out in search of trade routes. What makes this especially noteworthy is that the African Kingdoms is the first official expansion to be released in 16 years for Age of Empires 2. The original Age of Empires 2 came out in 1999. Of course, this expansion is only compatible with Age of Empires 2 HD, which is available for Windows on Steam. Coming out December 2015 is Helldivers, a twin-stick shooter that's a little like Starship Troopers, at least as far as its sense of humor goes. We tried it out earlier this year at Indiecade East, and it's pretty fun. It looks great, and it's now out for the PS4, PS3, and Vita. It's nice to see it get a PC port. Finally, we leave you with the trailer for Alone With You, which is coming out spring of 2016 to the PlayStation 4 and Vita. The game is a sci-fi romance in which you play as the sole survivor of a doomed terraforming colony. No word on who you're romancing. You must try to escape the world, but you need to get your escape pod working. Well, that's it for this week's game news. If you'd like to find links, full trailers, and more information about the stuff we shared this week, and some of the other awesome stuff that we just didn't have time for, including the hands-on with the Nintendo PlayStation from Engadget, how you can get the Rise of the Tomb Raider soundtrack for free, legally, convenient links to the crowdfunding project we showed off, and more, check out our post at blackmanandrobin.com. If it's not on the front page, just look for November 7th, 2015 Game News Update. For all the latest game news, reviews, previews, and interviews, follow at Blackman and Robin on Twitter and Instagram. For my own views, follow me at Jordan_Cameron.
Turn 10 presents the 1956 Ford F-100 Fallout 4 Edition. You there, do you yearn for adventure? If so, your new 1956 Ford F-100 Fallout 4 Edition can carry you on a zip-tastic quest across the Forza wasteland. The engineers at Vault-Tec and Turn 10 Studios have created the next best thing to an atomic car, one that runs entirely on gasoline. Master driving techniques for greater return. Don't get too cocky there, sport. The 1956 Ford F-100 Fallout 4 Edition.